Welcome back for another episode of Britt and Nick Do the News, where we say it as it is and we come as we are. Let's jump on into the Russian election. Putin wins by a landslide, 87%, extending his term another 6 years. The public reacted by exploding pens and booths and pouring gasoline on ballot boxes.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. They don't want him in office, and this is really their only way that they can react. I'm just a little surprised at the fact that he only said 87% ahead of everyone else. Well, first of all, there's nobody else. And second of all, only 87% dictator? Okay. We know it's 100% because you broke the knees of anyone else that you didn't want as competition. But we'll go with that.
We know it's hard to find proper candidates. Back in the States, we have Biden and Trump. Biden's slogan this week was, I need you back. And who is he referring to?
I'm gonna go with the migrant population, the Latino crew, but it probably needs to be his night nurse.
Well, you were correct about the Latino voters. He told them that they're the reason he defeated Trump in 2020 and he needs their vote back.
Dang. Well, he's got a few options to pick from now, doesn't he?
Yes, I guess that might have something to do with how the Supreme Court changed their minds just hours after they lifted the block of the Texas immigration law. Earlier in the week, they were allowing Texas officials to start arresting migrants that crossed the border illegally, but then said, nope, hold off, let them keep coming. And if you can imagine, people are bum rushing the border. I feel like we're in Squid Games right now, playing red light, green light, where we're going to lose no matter what.
That's for certain, girl. You know who else lost?
Who?
In Perry, Iowa, they shut down a Tyson chicken plant. They claimed that they laid off 50,000 workers to employ immigrants. It's now retracted by Scripps News, but they closed the plant. And the Senator Chuck Grassley said it was really disappointing and really is going to affect their economy. But the thing is, they pretend that they're not necessarily in bed with Tent Partnership for Refugees, employing just essentially people that are not necessarily legal to be residing in the United States, not illegal in general, just illegal to be residing in the United States without proper documentation.
Well, I'm a Purdue girl myself, coming from the good state of Maryland. So I'm glad I'm not supporting this initiative.
Agreed.
A couple weeks ago, Brittany, you had mentioned that Chinese were buying a bunch of land around military bases. And I think you found the facts.
That's right, girl. But it doesn't look like it's just military bases. It actually looks like it's farmland in rural counties of Oklahoma and Georgia and a lot of other southern states. They've been busted with 400,000 pounds of marijuana that was illegally grown. And it's especially controversial because these are states that do not have any medical marijuana licensing. They do not allow for any distribution, regardless of the circumstance. And it seems very interesting that the Chinese mafia is benefiting from this. Well, not just the Chinese mafia, the gang life in Mexico is also being heavily supported through their funding. And that's going to be a huge problem because the more marijuana that's grown, it seems like an okay idea, but then it's going to shuffle on over to the fentanyl crisis and then trank and so on and so forth. It's just a trickle down effect.
Let's jump over to Paris, where they lifted the intimacy ban for the 2024 Olympics, passing out 220,000 free condoms.
Yeah, that's been a tradition apparently since 1988 in Seoul. That was to remind all of the patrons as well as the athletes and participants about HIV and AIDS and the importance of stopping the spread. That was when the AIDS epidemic was at its peak. And I believe that the intimacy ban was during the 2020 Olympics in Tokyo as they tried to keep people apart to prevent the spread of diseases in general, not just STDs or STIs, also for COVID-19. But they have since lifted that intimacy ban as we are several years out from COVID. Obviously, still reminding people that they need to be safe, but being a little bit more fair about it in the sense of it's been some time and in essence, people are going to do what they want to do. So
Speaking of folks that should be banned from intimacy, Quiet on the Set was released this week, where it focused on child actors on the Nickelodeon set. Brian charged with multiple counts of what's this, Brittany?
Brian Peck, yeah, so he was actually charged with several things. So in 2004, a sexual assault conviction was brought. He had oral copulation with a minor under the age of 16. Plus, he was charged with lewd act with a 14 to 15-year-old. He spent 16 months in prison, and apparently they were now releasing the information. It was originally an unnamed minor, but that minor has now come forward and is no longer a minor, that being Drake Bell. So yes, they broke it down for us in the Quiet on Set documentary. It's very, very illuminating, very eye-opening. How do you feel about it?
I mean, we grew up watching Nickelodeon and all of these shows that Dan Snyder created. I thought it was comedic genius for the younger generation. And to know that behind closed doors, these kids were going through not just trauma by a sexual predator, but also a director who was off his rocker in many ways. None of these stories that these children had to tell, I mean, these children are now adult. It, it's all heartbreaking. You think that this would be the best time of their lives. They're becoming stars. And then the people behind the screens are laughing and having a great time because, I mean, all that show was SNL for kids. And it really breaks my heart to hear what was really going on.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed. It's so sad. I mean, all our great favorites, Drake and Josh, all that, the Amanda show. And that's another thing. Dan Schneider said back in the day, he may have been rude and culturally insensitive, but he never harmed a child. And he is still, quote unquote, apparently friends with Amanda Bynes. Well, we know she's not in the greatest state of mind right now. So, what sort of humble brag is that? Not at all. He's probably one of the reasons she is the way she is now. Just like a lot of these guys have been speaking on the Brotherly Love podcast. You hear stuff that Matt Lawrence has been saying about how his agent dropped him because he refused to meet up with some of these shady characters. And like you said, it's kids SNL. It was sad to know about because when we're watching it, we're kids right along with them. It's unimaginable to think the stuff that they have to go through in order to become famous, in order to get that paycheck. It's really, really sad. And I'm super happy that they're naming and blaming and shaming. Keep it up, baby.
Well, it's not just child actors that have impressionable minds and are going through the trauma that shapes their adulthood. Let's focus on the average American, like Kyle Rittenhouse, who you know how he grew up and the actions of what that might have had against what he did.
It's true. It's true. How someone is raised as a child is going to be a direct reflection of how they act as an adult or even a young adult. Because back in 2020, the summer of 2020, Kyle Rittenhouse shot and killed two people during the riots. He beat the homicide charge, but I guess he was doing a speech in Memphis, the University of Memphis, where he was consistently heckled by BLM protesters. He's sponsored by the Turning Point USA, and its founder, Charlie Kirk, I suppose, had some alleged racist things that he had said, and they were asking Kyle Rittenhouse about. He said he really couldn't answer anything because he doesn't know much and had to exit the stage. But I mean, what do you expect? You're in Memphis, you're essentially beat homicide charges, and you're acting like you're some sort of pious person out here spreading the good word of the Lord or something. No, you're not. You're just a little kid still. And of course, you're going to get heckled. And look, even proving further how much of a child he is, he had to get up and walk off stage. Yeah, well, we see what happens when sometimes the parenting goes a little too far, clogs the mind up of creating your own opinions. And you know, He should be in not necessarily exile, but he needs to stay at home and keep a little quiet. And I believe that's how all the protesters and the picketers felt as well. So he's got to deal with the consequences, and he's blessed beyond measure, even though this isn't to be measured, that he is not in prison.
Let's turn to some health news. Recent studies about intermittent fasting have led to show 91% of fasters are at risk for cardiovascular death. Intermittent fasting has been one of the latest craze in diets, and honestly, it didn't work for me, and I wouldn't suggest it for you. My body would stress out and do the opposite. It didn't shed 1 pound. And I think even working out during my fast, my cortisol levels were off the charts.
Dang, that's no good. But honestly, I agree. I don't think it's good for you. I don't think it's good for anybody. Unless you're a person from thousands of years ago where we weren't standing upright, and then maybe it could work out. But since we've adapted and have moved along from that type of lifestyle, we don't necessarily need the intermittent fasting. I mean, how about the keto stuff? Oh, eat a pound of bacon grease and some cheese, and as long as you don't eat any bread, you'll lose weight. Well, I'm sorry, I'd rather have the weight because that just doesn't sound normal to me.
Yeah, I recently was scrolling and on one of those keto pages, I saw a frozen bag of turkey balls. And no, I don't mean like meatballs, I mean like testicles. There's zero carbs, but honestly, I'll take the carbs.
100%. That sounds so unbelievably foul. Getting punny on a Friday. Now, what do you do? Now, do you do anything currently? I know you maybe have tried keto and you've tried intermittent fasting. Same here, unsuccessful. What do you do anything currently?
The best thing that's worked for me in my later age, and honestly, my age ain't that late,
Amen.
it is a thing I call 30, 30, 30, where within the 30 minutes of waking, you get in 30 grams of protein, and then you get your heart rate up to about 134 beats per minute for about 30 minutes. It is proven that anyone who starts their day with a brisk walk gets their cardiovascular rhythm in order and they have a more productive, successful day. And honestly, I can vouch for that. I've even during the holidays have lost a bit of weight, just keeping up with this consistent pattern. So I definitely recommend it. Your body does need food, and a number one thing is listen to your body. It will let you know what it needs and what doesn't work.
I agree. I might have to give that a shot myself.
The UK has released their 10th edition of the World Happiness Report. And Brittany, let's play this game. What are the top 5 countries that are said to be the happiest?
Oh gosh. Well, I know the US isn't on there because you said top five.
Yeah.
So, and obviously, unfortunately, though there are many great people that come from a lot of third world nations, I'm sure the stress levels are extremely high. So I would say none of those spots. So I'd like to say some ones that I know they're always bragging about how they're riding around on their bicycles and picking tulips and such. So I want to say one, if not all of them, three hangy down spots in Europe. So what is it? Norway, Sweden, Finland, or maybe Finland, Norway, Sweden. And I would also maybe like to say another S one, that's Switzerland. They always seem to be very non-controversial in anything that they do. So I want to say Switzerland, Amsterdam. That's not a country. It's a city, but it's in Holland, or is it Denmark? Girl, I don't know. But Holland, if that's a country, and Denmark, if that's a separate country, because sometimes I get them confused. I'm like, wait, is that the city, the county, or the country? So I'm gonna go with Finland, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Holland, or no, scratch one of them and put Switzerland in its place. I'm so sorry, I don't know.
I don't know exactly what your answer is after all that, but I'm just going to name off the answers.
Yeah.
Number 1, Finland. 2, Denmark. 3, Iceland. 4, Sweden. And 5, you were never going to guess this one, Israel. Israel, are they taking a survey after the Jews go to visit their homeland after their homage? I mean, of course they're in the greatest state of mind, but Israel with everything that's going down, um, very interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I knew the first few that I mentioned were probably going to be on there. I forgot Iceland. I know that they have a great, very based, happy population, but dang, Israel, yeah, you threw me with that. That would have never come up on my list, especially not during these past few years. I know that whole area has kind of been in turmoil and under duress. So,
Yeah, and as of recently, the US and UN are screaming for another ceasefire in Gaza and hopefully something turns fast. It is said that by May, 70% of the people will be in famine.
oh my.
Oh, and yeah, I guess we're combating Russia and China, who is vetoing our wishes. This is just nuts.
That is nuts. It's so sad. And honestly, at this point, you don't have to take sides. You just have to want people to not be in famine. You just have to want people to stay in safe homes. Women, children, men as well, everybody. Everyone deserves safety and security. And the fact that people are trying to vote against it for their own personal wishes and monetary or ground gain is absolutely despicable.
Well, number three was Iceland, and right now they're in a state of emergency. They have had a volcano erupt for its fourth time in 3 months. And I mean, what do you do when a volcano won't stop erupting, Brittany?
Oh, I don't even know, to be honest. That's hard. Uh Good thing they're so happy, I suppose, because that could probably put a damper on happiness if I had to guess. I don't know. Mother Nature is angry. Mother Earth is aggressed. So maybe start by stop pouring oil into the water and all the bad stuff that we do, all the fossil fuels being burned up every which way, pollution. Yeah, maybe start there and then the volcano might calm down. She might be able to talk to her cousin and say, "Hey, look, let them be for a minute."
Well, let's talk about the weather and the show with the weather. Back in the States, we have a winter weather alert. Like, didn't we just have the spring equinox? But the winter weather alerts are flying off the chain. 17 states are being affected by two separate storm systems. Up in New England, they're going to experience 1 to 1.5 feet of snow and then almost a foot over the Great Lakes. Just absolutely nuts. And if it's not snow we're worried about the wind. Ohio is claiming a state of emergency after storms ripped through the state, killing 3 people and injuring 40.
Wow. That's really sad. Yeah, the weather can do some catastrophic things and honestly that's one of the things that's out of our control. And that's a good point we should recognize. Hey, if weather issues are out of our control at least to a certain degree, why not take care of stuff that is in our control? So stop slaughtering children, stop burning places to the floor, be it in Haiti, be it in Ukraine, be it in the Gaza Strip. Let's get a grip back on reality and think about how you know, don't ruin people's lives for the benefit of your own because whether or not you believe in the afterlife or not, my theory is life is temporary, eternity is forever. And I wouldn't want, even if there was consequences or not, how could you live with yourself, knowing that you're harming all these people? I couldn't do it. So even if we're not in the happiest nation in the world, we know that, girl.
Well, I guess according to the report, America dropped for the first time below the top 20. So, yeah, our spirits are dampened and we are voting in.
Hard to hear it, but there's a lot of stuff that's hard to hear. Hopefully, we can get our sunshine back. We can get everything good to go and make our way back up to the top 20. Hopefully, maybe even top 10. And if we hop on them bicycles and plant a few more tulips, maybe top 5. Anything's possible.
Not to say that this is a conspiracy theory, but the solar eclipse that's about to take place next week. Did you hear about that, Brittany? That's the new Y2K about to go down? You have no idea?
No, I've heard of it. Yeah, just another distraction tool. I mean, to be fair, the planets are doing what the planets are doing, regardless of what's happening on the earth. But I agree, it's probably just a look at me over here type of deal.
Well, they're telling us to stock up on food and water, and I guess cell phone service might go out. I mean, let's be real.
Yeah, let's be real. More of this type of crap goes down, I'm hauling ass to the moon, okay? Let's see if it's better over there. Got to put on a spacesuit, roll around with my space doggy, but it's okay. I'd be willing. I don't want to buy an excess of shit tickets for absolutely no dang reason. Please don't let it happen again, y'all. And also leave the people of Vermont alone. I hear that the best spots to see it are in Vermont. It's where my man's from. Y'all leave them alone, okay? Seriously, crowding up all their dang spots. Ugh.
Well, Elon Musk, you heard her speak. Fly us to the moon. And that concludes our broadcast for the week. Thanks for tuning in. And I would say catch us next week, but we're going to take a little break. We'll catch you the following with a whole lot.
Take care, y'all.
Bye.